Well, let's try this. Hey, welcome everybody. It's me, Paula. And in light of this COVID-19 conundrum, let's call it, thanks Grandpa, I wanted to try to do something a little bit different with our upcoming expected in-service that we had planned for the 25th of March. We're going to try this via video for now, just to keep our self-isolation and social distancing observed, and I think that you'll all understand and appreciate that. So I'm going to start right off, and I'm going to try and make it as quick as I can. And what I expect to do after you all watch this, if you have any questions, I'm going to ask you to text those questions to me, and I think what we're going to do is do some subsequent videos answering questions and just talking about things that are new and different. So I first want to start off by saying thank you to everybody, the managers, Beth, Helen, they've just been outstanding. Lisa, I just don't even know, they all need to actually clone themselves in order to keep up with what we've been faced with the last few weeks. And of course, we all know that it's not going to end today, though we would like that, and we'll certainly hope that it is quickly. We also, I'm sure, I know that we have a couple of new staff members, and I do apologize, I don't have your names right now. I do know Autumn, I met Autumn in person, and I thank you for braving this and for helping us to roll up your sleeves and take care of these very extremely important folks that we care for here at our house. In addition to caring for our residents, and first and foremost, actually, we need to take care of ourselves. So even when you are outside of work, I really, and maybe especially when you're outside of work, make sure that your children are aware. You don't want to scare them, but you just definitely want them to know, how to wash their hands and how to keep their distance and to keep them stimulated somehow, which I know is very challenging at home. And I know that some of the schools are going to be doing the televised or computer lessons as well. So all of our lives have certainly changed in the last couple of weeks, and I don't see that in a negative light necessarily. Some of these things I think are going to end up being very positive for society. I have read now probably over 100 emails in the last 2.5 weeks. I've been getting multiple emails from the Center for Disease Control, also known as CDC, the Vermont Department of Health, Vermont Healthcare Association, the Vermont Emergency Preparedness Coalition, and multiple other groups. And I am not exaggerating when I say I've read at least 100, and they're not one-page memos like I like to send you guys. There are some of them 5, 10, and 20 pages in length. There's not much different about each of them. Some of them choose to get into more detail than others. And some of them are, of course, talking to the grandiose population, meaning hospitals, nursing homes, even small facilities like our house. So I'm going to try and make this as quick and painless as possible. I think that the first thing that I like to point out is that, COVID-19 has actually done things for me and for all of us already. It certainly has forced us like this to think outside of the box, to realize a little deeper how appreciative we are and how thankful we are for what we have and the folks that are in our wonderful circle. And I mean all of you by that, certainly first and foremost, and of course all of our families. I know that it has made me very anxious, and that's not something that I usually have to struggle with, but I have been anxious, and I have laughed, and I've cried, and I've laughed, and I think we can all do that together. So I've reached out to lots of you, and I'm sincere when I say none of us have been through this before. I'm 62, never have been through anything like this in my life. So knowing what to do is always, I think, the first step. Once we start moving, the gears start going, it becomes a little more evident what direction we're headed in. So first of all, I think we've done a spectacular job just by being ahead of the game. As you all know, on, I believe it was March 12th, we isolated, restricted all visitors from all care homes at about 2 o'clock that afternoon. We were ahead of it by about 4 or 5 days. I don't have the actual date in front of me, but by the time the governor decided that we had to do that, we had already been doing that for several days. So bravo to our house and to our families for understanding, and to all of you to keep coming to work each day. Without you, I don't know where I would be, and I certainly don't know where our families and certainly our residents would be. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I truly, truly mean that. So here we go, rolling up our sleeves. COVID-19. Our residents are the most at risk, and our caregivers certainly are expected to be that close second. We have to guard ourselves when we're not at the care homes so that we don't bring anything unwanted into our residence. And I know that most of you have been with us through lots of stomach bugs and colds and maybe even the flu a time or two. But this is something that is new and different. And of course, anything new and different is a little concerning. My personal opinion about what's happening is that this has probably been here for quite some time. Many people have experienced sicknesses in the last 6 months, 4 months, 5 months, 3 months that were kind of unusual. So it could be very well that we have had COVID amongst us much longer than we now are expecting or are listening to our medical professionals tell us. You know, and the truth is it's because they've started tracking it, and now we've got some tests and the numbers are going to go up, and that's just the nature of the beast. It isn't that we're in a worse shape, it is simply that we're now tracking those things. So I hope you all understand that. Safety first. There have been so many life-changing events that have been postponed, weddings and funerals. I personally have one of our family members' daughters was in a car accident night before last, and she could not have her husband join her at the hospital. She did have to go into the hospital, but they had to say goodbye to her at the door. So I can't imagine how unsettling that must be. So these are serious things that certainly could affect all of us, postponements and rescheduling, and certainly going to the hospital and not being able to go in with your loved one. That's troubling. So of course, right there I say, let's not go to the hospital. Let's make sure that we're really watching our residents very closely. We don't want anybody to fall. We don't want anyone to have to go to the hospital by any uncertain means. If indeed we can prohibit that from taking place, then that's what always we want to do, but especially now. They talk about the curve of this disease, and that's kind of relevant to what I was saying a few minutes ago about that. I think that it probably has been here longer than we thought it had. And of course, now that the tests are here and people are going to be checked out, the curve is spiking. You know, it's going up, and we certainly would like to see it come down here and level out a little bit, and that's going to be time for a party. Minor party, but still a party. Hospitals and doctors' offices, they certainly have thought outside of the box. They're doing all sorts of things differently. They have tents in their parking lots. They're triaging patients outside before they actually give them access to go into each clinic. And that's great. These are all proactive ways of trying to lower that curve and get rid of COVID-19. We don't want this guy around anyway. So what we do know is that in and out of work, what we have to do is primary universal precautions. Wash your hands for 20 seconds. Warm water and soap is the best method. Social distancing. We should not be closer to anyone that we're not around all the time. We should not be closer than 6 feet to them if we have to go out to the store. If we are walking down the street, we should certainly try and maintain that 6 foot distance. And I think you all can get an idea of what 6 feet is. If not, let me know. I'll be glad to pull out a measuring tape and show you. I think that important to me is that a lot of us are anxious anyway. It's the world, and there are a lot of people that are having a really difficult time trying to sift through all of this rhetoric, and I'm going to use the word rhetoric. The media has gone mad. They're showing us worst case scenarios. These are all things that are made up in someone's head. Certainly it doesn't mean that they can't come to fruition, but the likelihood of that I would think is very slim, and mainly because I am putting my stock in the medical scientists, the people that are out there, that have been out there working on a cure, working on some way, a vaccine, some way to get this COVID-19 under control so that we can all walk amongst ourselves like we are so accustomed to doing. I think that important social media, it creates a lot of anxiety. There are some great things on social media, but I know that myself, if I try to flip through the social media, there's probably 20 scary postings to every one happy or funny posting. And you know me, any of you that do know me know that I do believe that laughter is the best medicine. So not to make fun of this, not to make light of this, but to definitely help ourselves and each other find a few minutes every day to laugh. And there are plenty of good little things out there that can help us to do that. We did set up a Facebook page and it's Our House R.C.H. Please go to Jacob W. Patorti and request him as a Facebook friend, and he will invite you to this Facebook page for Our House. Really, all that I want it for is to share stories, share funny things, and help each and every one of us get through this COVID-19 isolation time, let's call it, as best we can. What we don't know is that we don't have a crystal ball, and we don't know how long this will last. We really don't know about the truth and honesty of really many of the news reports that we're seeing out there. If you want to see anything that I'm seeing, I'm happy to share that with you. The Vermont Department of Health, I believe, is probably our best network because it's local. There are many, many, many things going on in larger environments, in larger cities, that we have not necessarily necessitated here yet, because we are lucky in that we are a sparsely populated state. But again, that doesn't mean that we are immune to this COVID-19. We certainly are not. I appreciate every single one of you. I know that you're all coming to work, very difficult leaving your children, your spouses, your families. It's just how appreciative I am, and all of our families are, that you are here every day taking care of the most vulnerable population to this COVID-19. I can't say it enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, 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 any questions that you have, I'm not sure I'm gonna have the answers, but I certainly will give it a shot, and I will give it a try to see if I can get answers to questions that maybe I haven't thought of. And that's why it's always good for us to roll up our sleeves and put all of our heads together to come up with questions or scenarios that might be helpful to us sometime in the future. I do want you to know that, as you've all been hearing, I'm sure, the protective personal equipment, or PPE as they refer to it, which includes things like gloves and gowns and masks and even booties. These products, with the exception of gloves, my understanding is, are very, very hard to come by. The Vermont Department of Health did put out a requisition order form, and I did fill that out last week. And I'm told that we will start seeing some supplies dropped on our doorstep at the office starting on Monday. I'm not sure what the timeline is, and we certainly haven't been promised what we asked for, but that we have been reassured that what supplies the state has stockpiled, they will start distributing to us. Right now, knocking on wood, everybody seems to be good, and that's what we want. There's absolutely no reason at this point to put a mask on unless you are sick yourself. Also, I have some great, there are some great ways to make your own masks out there. So if you'd like, I'll share that with you too, both on the Facebook page, or if you just text me, I can send it to you individually. I think the most important thing, most important message that I want to send to you all is that we have to try and stay positive, especially now more than ever, for our coworkers certainly, and mostly for our residents. There's a lot of media on TV. I expect that probably most programming that we have on for our residents has some break-in news about COVID-19. Not all residents would really comprehend what is going on, but I think that they would know enough that it's not good and it's scary, and so we should try to minimize, if not entirely wipe out the possibility of those newscasts coming onto the television. And that even goes for the overnights. We just cannot do it. Those of you who've been here for any length of time have seen evidence of people that have, our residents, that have been unexplainably anxious, especially maybe in the early morning hours when it seems as though they should have had a good night's sleep and not be troubled. But just watching a scary movie in the other room can really create havoc for our residents. And the same goes true with music. So, but music is also the best, aside from laughter, music is extremely important. And if we can keep happy music playing and smile and laugh with our residents, that's what we're gonna do, and that's what's gonna get us out of this in good shape. I extend my personal self to each and every one of you, and I've done this multiple times, though I don't seem to be getting calls. I would love to have you call me, even if you just want to cry or share a funny story or tell me how scary you feel or how sad you are. These are all absolutely human emotions. We are all feeling them, and many of us feel very helpless. I feel as though I am all of your leaders, and yet when this all came out, I went, what? Wait, what? You know, where do we go? What do we do? What's first? What's second? There's no book. There's no rules. But I am trusting in those professionals, the scientists, the medical doctors, the people that are out there that know that this is going to really put a pinch on our society, and perhaps they can do something, anything, any little thing to help ease this burden. And I would like to do the same. So feel free to call me, text me, email me, whatever you want to do. I love and respect each and every one of you for the jobs that you do. Your jobs are so important. In fact, when it comes to the COVID-19 testing, you're right at the top of the list. Healthcare, healthcare workers, that's you guys. There are things out there, there are benefits out there that are being offered to healthcare workers. So if you need help finding some of that, let me know. I'll do what I can to help you find what best suits your needs. Take care of each other, take care of our residents. I will be coming around soon just to give you a foot tap. I think we're gonna do foot taps instead of hugs. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.